True, yeah. And I see other people struggle nowadays too, just like acquaintances or people who just, you see them struggling and it hurts,
It
because you
does.
just want to help them. But I know at the time there were people who told me, like, hey, maybe you should drink a little bit less. And that made
And
me
what
angry.
I was just gonna say, what did you do? You got fucking pissed,
Yes, I
and you were like, "Leave me
did.
the fuck alone."
Yes.
Listen, that my ex-wife had asked me numerous times, and I'm like, "I'm never gonna stop drinking,"
Yeah.
but I was in a bad
I
place.
used
It
to feel the
wasn't.
same way. I used
Yeah.
to think that. I was like, there's no way. This is part of my personality. It
This
makes
is
me
who
more
I.
fun.
This is who I am,
Yeah,
right? Everybody
yeah.
says that, and then I got to the point where being on Wall Street for 25 years, going out to dinners that would, then you go out afterwards. That was my life, and I'd get in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then get up the next day, and then do the same thing over and over again. I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, I'm not really sure who I am anymore.
Yeah, you lose yourself.
Yeah, I was like a little nervous, like, because I was like, do people like me for who I am as TJ, or do they like me for the drinking TJ?
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard because I also, like, me and Chase, my boyfriend, we had a wedding a few months after, a family wedding. We actually had two weddings within the next 3 months.
And you guys had stopped.
Yes, and that was so hard for me. It really was.
But you
Because
battled through it.
we did, and it was
God bless
hard.
you.
I know part of me at that first, it was like not even a whole month, but thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was hard, being around family, and that's normally what we did
And
together.
they were still drinking like lunatics, and
Yeah,
you're like,
well, the thing is, a lot of like the cousins in my family, we're all older, so we're
yeah,
all getting older. We're in our 30s, late 30s, early 40s, and you just naturally calm down. I saw a lot of them calm down, with their drinking activities
right,
over the
right.
years, and so it's like it wasn't too crazy. It was
Yes.
honestly not too bad. There wasn't even like a full bar or anything.
Oh, that's nice.
It was like, nowadays they do the cute like husband and wife's drinks where it's like his or hers.
Oh, really? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
nowadays they
I'm
do
old,
like
so.
this his or
I'm old. I haven't been to a wedding in a long time.
I
Yeah.
know, that's what
He's-
they do nowadays.
yeah.
It's like a thing.
Oh,
They
that's
choose
cool.
like his or hers drinks, and it's one drink, and then they will have like a basic bar, or they'll just have beers, or like seltzers, and it's very like minimal.
Yeah,
So
which is nice.
it wasn't honestly super. It wasn't as hard as I thought, but then of course they do the toast, and they bring everyone champagne, and I'm sitting there looking at it like, this sucks,
Yeah.
because it was my first time just months later being
Right.
like, alcohol free, being
Yeah.
like, this sucks, because the part of me personality wise wants to do it, but then at the same time it's just not good for me. And now after 3 years now,
Congrats, that's
thank
so
you.
awesome.
I know, thank
Yeah.
you so much. It's
so
crazy.
great. Yeah.
It was April 2022. So I think, we're coming up on 3 years,
Yeah.
but that would have been the third Thanksgiving, right? Am I doing that math correctly? Because April,
April, yeah.
so Thanksgiving 2022 to 23, 24.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now it's like I don't even know. I used to count the days and be like so proud of myself, and then it's like after the first 2 years, you kind of lose track, and
I
now
know.
it's just not anything I ever want to go back to. And what's crazy is
Tell me.
the day that you had asked me to, if I wanted to be on, your podcast
Yeah.
and chat, and share my story, I literally had a dream that night that I went out drinking.
Stop.
And I was like, I woke up feeling so weird because in my dream, like I went out drinking and I got drunk in my dream, which is just so weird because it's not exactly like it is. But you know what I
Yeah,
mean when
no,
you
no,
dream
I-
about that? And I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
being
yeah.
like disappointed in myself, but
Oh.
also like in my dream, I was going through a hard time. So
Yeah.
I decided to go do that. And then the next day when you had texted me that, I'm like, oh, that's so weird because I
That is-
totally believe in like
I believe in all that.
premonitions
I
and
believe
dreams.
in all that.
And,
Well, I said we
uh,
weren't even supposed to meet. I wasn't even supposed to be at day.
I
We just happened to
know.
randomly,
Yeah.
and Lori actually wanted to have coffee, and your boyfriend said, "Oh, we can make you coffee." So I'm like, "Look, babe, you could have coffee. I could have a salad." Like, and then you came over, bubbly, and started talking, and here we are today, and sharing our story. This is why I always say God is an amazing and having Him back in my life. And again, I tell this to everybody. I don't go to church, but I pray multiple times a day now because the stress levels that I have or had, because, and I don't know if you've been watching a lot of my reels and stuff, it's 9 straight weeks. Like I finally gave it up to God, and I was like the anxiety, because I didn't even know I had anxiety. Here's the thing: between taking pills and drinking for 20 something years, I never had hangovers. So like I didn't have that anxiety. And if I did have, I guess if I did have that anxiety hangover, I'd be drinking anyway. So it never really came, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know, but every morning, over the last couple of years, I would wake up stressed, money, kids, like the normal stress of life. And I have anxiety. And finally, I just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And I gave it to him, and the Lord has taken it. And I'm literally, anytime I have that feeling, I give it to him. And it's just the most amazing thing, because I haven't had anxiety in 9 weeks.
That's
And
so
I always
great.
think that,
Yay.
thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
blessed. That,
It's debilitating. It
it's
really
debilitating.
is. And honestly, I don't believe you have to go to church personally. I grew up in a very religious family, and over the years and over time and with society, things change, and you can still be spiritual and not go to church. You can still believe in God and maybe not even call it God. You can call it, the higher power or the divine or whichever works for you.
Yes.
Because, it's okay. It's
I say a lot of times, I talk to my dad. I mean, I think he's one of the gods up there. He saved my life, because I literally, that day, when I decided to quit the pills, if I didn't say to him, Dad, okay, this is it, and I thought about me being a kid and him taking care of me, I had kids to take care of, there's a chance that I probably would have been on heroin. Because I mean, it's very simple. Like, next step, needle in the arm, and guess what? I'm high as a kite, and that's what we're always chasing. We're suppressing all the shit that's in front of us to get high, to get that feeling of, to block everything else out.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And that was my next step. So I always think about that. So that's why I know, whether it's Jesus, whether it's your father, whether whoever you do believe that it is, that's fantastic, because it does work.
Do you think your dad's ever tried to reach out to you to let you know?
Oh, absolutely. My daughter just had one of those readings, and he popped in. And my mom went through the same situation. She did that, and he did come through. So.
Reading? I'm telling you what, I really want to start. I want to start a channel with my brother. I would really love to start doing stuff like that. Like, not necessarily like a ghost hunting type of, but like trying to communicate with the other side and just seeing if there's messages.
You have family that can do that, like cross over? Because I think
personally, right now, not that any that I've met, but I honestly think that there's a lot of cool stuff that I've seen on YouTube, and I've done my own research.
Like I said, my daughter and my mom have crossed, they come through. And actually, my wife has done it too, and her mother came through. She lost her mom when she was younger to cancer. So I always say that my dad and her mom somehow met up in heaven, and saw that we were both going through some tough times. Here's the crazy part. I had a crush on her in junior high school. I always thought she was very pretty and attractive, but we ran in 2 different circles. Now, I knew the guy friends that she hung out with, because I played sports, and I pretty much knew everybody, and those guys played sports too, but we just ran in 2 different circles. So I'd never had the opportunity to really hang out with her. And then here we are 30 years later. Madly in love and living in Florida. Coming from Connecticut, which, by the way, had no contact. Like, when I left my high school, I went to play college baseball at Providence College, and then left there, and then went right to work on Wall Street, 3 years later, because I played a couple years independent league ball in upstate New York. But never any contact with any of my home friends, and to get reconnected to her was crazy. Yeah. Crazy. So I do believe that stuff all happens for a reason. Yeah. The one thing I've learned too, there's no coincidences in life. Things happen for a reason.
They do. And sometimes it seems so unfair. But on the other side of it, there are reasons why.
Yeah.
And it's true. Getting to meet you and your wife, that was so awesome. And even just like moving to Florida in general,
It's been amazing.
I never thought that would happen. But look, getting out of the situation I was in moved me to Florida with my family. So I was reconnecting again, like, moving.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you did you just flee from that, and it was just like, I got to get this far away as I can, I'm going to go to Florida, and you had family members here, or you just got to Florida and you were like, I'm here?
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah.
Fun fact, my little BRZ that I have, I never had my own car at the time. So when that whole situation ended and I was able to get out of that, I was lucky enough to have family close by that I moved in with for a short period of time. I made the decision, which might have kind of seemed at first like a bad decision, to buy a BRZ rear wheel drive car in New Hampshire when it was snowing in November, because this is the same month this all happened. So yesterday it was 6 years to yesterday I got my car, and I never had my own vehicles. I always drove the other people's vehicles that were around, never had my own. And I was in a place working for a college at the time, actually, and so I had the money, and I went and looked, and that car was the only automatic, because I wasn't able to drive a stick.
Right.
I wish I could, but it was the only automatic. It was the closest Subaru car dealership to my house at the time, where I was living with family. And my brother went with me, and we found that car, and I was like, it was in my budget, and he talked them down like about $1,000, and I left that night with it. And I couldn't believe it, because after everything I'd been through, my car that I always wanted was right there, just down the road, just waiting for me. And so I got that car. I drove it once in the snow. I don't know how I didn't kill myself. I made it to work somehow one day. Usually they let us work from home, but I somehow one day in the snow I drove her, didn't crash her. And then I decided a few weeks later that I was going to be moving to Florida, because my parents came to visit for Christmas, and my dad was like pulling my leg. He was like, you could just, quit your job and come to Florida. Yeah. And I did, because I was like, I thought about it for like a day, and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is tying me down here? I was born and raised in New England, but my parents are in Florida now. They're offering for me to just like start a new life there, and I just did it. I didn't even think twice about it. I called them back right after they started driving back to Florida, and I was like, you know what? I'm coming. Just give me a few weeks. I got to give a notice at my job, and I'm coming. And I packed up whatever I could fit into that little tiny car and drove myself all alone all the way. My dad wasn't a huge fan of it, because I drove by myself.
I know. My daughter drives back and forth from South Carolina. She has to call me every stop. I don't care how old she is. She still has to do it, and she does.
He was very nervous about it, but obviously I was fine, and I kept them up to date along the way. But I did it, and then not long after, a crazy story, I met my current boyfriend, and he lived in the same complex. So I had moved in with my parents. They had my dad moved here. He got a new job, so they're kind of waiting still. They got into an apartment while they were trying to find their home here, because they had a few homes in New England. And when they sold those and moved to Florida, they were just kind of, doing the apartment life for a little while. And looking for a house. And when I moved
that's where you met your boyfriend.
That's how I met him. We actually met on Tinder, of all places. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Tinder. So he was right 2 buildings down. So and my dad always says that if they had moved to Naples, which they had thought about moving to Naples, but because of a recent hurricane, that apartment complex was actually, they were not renting out. It was damaged I forget what hurricane that was, right before 2018. So was it, I don't think it was Charlie, was it?
I don't remember.
Whichever one was right before that, in the Fort Myers, Naples area in 2018.
It's funny you say that, because that happened to my business partner. Same thing. He was trying to rent a place in not this past hurricane, the one before that. He was trying to rent a place. He's from Greenwich, and he was trying to rent a place in Naples to get his family down there for the winter, and the whole house got blown away. And then his father-in-law lives in the Sarasota area, and I'm like, dude, why don't you try to just get a place around here? And now I just played golf with him yesterday, so he's back and forth between the city and here, and his wife loves it here, and they live in Waterside, so it's like I think things happen for a
They
reason.
do. I'm telling you, my dad
Yeah.
always likes to, tell us that story how they almost moved to Naples, and if they had, I probably never would have met him.
Right.
So I really believe that everyone we meet, there's a reason for it, whether it's for you to
Agreed.
help them or vice versa, or teach you a lesson. I've seen those memes on social media that there's certain people that are put here to not be successful in life. They're here to teach you a lesson or
Right.
teach you that that's not where you want to be in life.
True.
Which it's sad to think that though,
But
you
it's
know what
true.
I mean? But it is.
Yeah.
So we all can learn lessons from each other, and
You're so wise for your age.
Thank
It's
you so much.
I wish I had this wisdom when I was, in my early 30s like you, because I'd be more successful than I am today. But it's so good to see the younger generation actually. And I say this with my kids. I'm like, you guys, I'm giving you all this information so you don't make the same mistakes, and you're not where I am at this age. Like, do it earlier. Like, if you can control your drinking, you could have a couple, go do it. That's fine. But if you see this as getting out of control or it's becoming a pattern, then maybe you got to think about it.
True, yeah, and it does. It runs. It does run in the family and the past. Like, so not. I'm lucky enough to have never grown up around that, but it does run in the family. So it's alcoholism in general. It does. So it's like not easy to break, and even just knowing that. That it can be hereditary to have an addictive personality, to be an alcoholic, and just being aware of that. It's good to talk about that kind of stuff so you're aware, because just because you might think that you can control it doesn't mean that you can until you're in that place where you start realizing.
And I think this forum that I'm in now, this actually helps me so much, because every time I think about it, and I say this to Ethan, everybody knows Ethan, he's our camera guy and he's awesome at what he does, but I say to him all the time, I'm like, man, I don't know if I should keep doing this, and then he'll be like, no, you need to do this. Like, this is, it's good for all of us.
Yeah.
It's good for all of us, because we're helping people, and it helps me grow as a person to know why I'm really here. I always thought it was the money that was like the most important thing. Money's not the most important. Money comes and goes. It's the people that come through your life and that you can touch their hearts and hopefully help them along the way. So.
Yeah, for sure. And that might be a little bit of imposter syndrome. We all have it. I went to a women's networking event in, it was in Sarasota, and there were some like top, in some big businesses in the area, and they were top leaders in those businesses, and they were all sharing their journeys with imposter syndrome. And I felt so inspired when I left there, because I was like, wow, like we all deal with that, where, you might not feel like you're doing the best, or, that you should just give up or not be doing it. We all feel that way.
Yeah.
And feeling like you're not
I didn't
good
even know
enough,
that was a real thing. Like, you
Yeah.
just saying it to me, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah,
That's
imposter
crazy.
syndrome. I didn't either, but I learned about it a few years ago, because it's true. Sometimes we feel like we're not good enough, or that we're not worthy, or that we're not skilled enough or talented enough, and it's just not true. Or we have this perception in our minds of ourselves, and it's like sometimes we still feel like we're 21, and I don't feel like I'm 34 years old now doing these successful things, running my own business. Sometimes I feel like I'm just I'm not really doing it, if that makes sense, or not.
I get that feeling every day.
Yeah.
So I say that all the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm running with my head cut off, and I'm like, and how did I make all this money, and how did I do all this, and how do I raise all these kids? And you turn around, but like we are really doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's true.
So that kind of leads me into, tell me about your little merch business that you got, which I love, and then we'll also talk about your social media business.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yes. So this is something a few years ago. I was gifted an iPad, and I had never had one before. I've always used, I had just gotten my first iPhone, so I'd never even had an iPad or anything like that. And I started just playing around, and I learned a little technique for like sketching from scratch. And I started just doing butterflies. I don't know why, it just came to me. And I started drawing different types of butterflies, and I put them on merch. So I use a drop shipping company, and they do the embroidery for me. As much as I'd love to take the credit for it, I can't.
It's wonderful.
But it's still my design. And then they went ahead and put it on merch. So I design it. So I choose the merch. I put it on here, and then when people buy these, the goal is to have a certain amount of the proceeds go to a certain organization. So for like the butterfly hats, I would like that to go to the it's like North American Butterfly Association. It's been a little side project for me, so I haven't had a lot of sales in the last 2 years since I started it. But I just got approved for TikTok shop, so I'm trying to start that up now. Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. It's a lot of work. It's so much work. I have 2 products up so far. That's it.
So we were talking off air about how, because you're saying, how much work it is, and you have just 2 products up that you're selling, but like, that's amazing, because before we got on, we were saying that the way our country is set up, everybody thinks it's instant gratification to make money, and behind the scenes, how hard it is to do what you're doing, or to do what I'm doing with the podcast. Like, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, and not for a lot of money. Like, and that's how businesses start, and that's how they grow. Yeah. Everybody sees the TikToks where, the guy made $1 million, but that's not how life works.
No, it's not that easy. Yeah. On my website, I do have some more stuff up that I've put, but that also took me like hours and hours of, designing them, choosing the products, placing it on the products, getting it up there onto a separate website so that you can actually buy it. And then now the whole TikTok thing is new. So now on there, I just have 2 things. I believe right now it's just these 2 that you can get on TikTok. But on the website, you can buy these, you can buy the stickers. So they all go to a different cause, and it all started, I figured I should have mentioned, like, with Mermy. So Mermy, my name is Emily, but Mermy was my nickname years ago, and I started streaming on Twitch. I don't even know how many years ago now, but it had been one of my dreams, so I had started it, and I did eventually get to the point where I was making about $100 a month doing Twitch. So that was really cool. But then I moved to Florida, and my life changed, and there was all of these exciting new adventures, and me and my boyfriend were going out and doing all these fun things. So I just kind of put that on hold and never went back to it. But I had started doing photography in New Hampshire, and I had started my degree in graphic design. And over the years, I turned it into this little small business where it's more than just photography now. It's graphic design, it's social media marketing. And then this was kind of my little side project that I had started because I loved my merch, and I had family members like my brother inspiring me to do this. So Mermy, I turned it into Mermy Studios. So that's my actual business.
That's awesome.
And then Mermy's merch was something. So I've made my own kind of little empire out of this.
It's fantastic. And that's a great story. That's so cool. Yeah. The butterflies are something very, very special to you. I actually have a similar situation with my dad. Ladybugs are what brings him back to, so anytime there's a ladybug, I know my dad's around. So, butterflies can touch so many people's hearts, and that's gorgeous, the way that everything's put together.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I do know I collaborated with a local kava bar, Kava Social Club, and they had asked if they could use my pride butterfly on their merch. So I agreed. So I designed this for them, put pride, put their name and my little autograph there, and then so these they were selling for a little while.
So let's talk about the kava bar, because I don't know much about it, but I know you've visited and you want me to go there because kava's another way to go and socialize and not drink alcohol, but it's a way to kind of mellow you out. So yeah, kind of give me and give the shout out to the local bars, because I always want to help as much as we can. Yeah,
for sure. There's actually 3 in the area. Kava bars were something new after I quit drinking. I found out about them because I was desperate to find like anything to help me relax, help with the anxiety, help find something that would allow me to still socialize and go out like a bar would, but that didn't include the alcohol. And what's really cool is that they had started blowing up. And I think I looked it up and I had a little conversation with ChatGPT the other day because I'm no expert in kava, but I wanted to kind of look a little more into it for this purpose. And I think there's over 150 now in Florida.
Wow.
So just in Florida alone, and they've started popping up in other states where for a while there were none. But it's a really awesome place of people of all ages. I think it's 21 plus now with the new laws, but it's an awesome place for adults to go and socialize and indulge in something that is not alcohol. It's not habit forming like kava, and it makes it easier to just relax and have a good time and chat with people.
Kind of gives you that mellow feeling.
It does, yeah, it does. And so yeah, this is actually a growler from Kava Social Club, and over the years, my boyfriend and I actually buy it from, I think the first kava bar in Florida was called The Knock, so N-A-K, The Knock.
Is there one close by here in Sarasota?
Not that specific brand. That company, they opened it on, I think it was Boca Raton, and we've been there. It's like a dive bar, but it's really? A kava bar, a non-alcoholic dive bar. It's a lot of fun. It's cool vibes. The owner's really awesome, and they sell there. So it's called.
So do they? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So they put on music? Is it
It's like a regular dive bar, but just no alcohol, and that's what we love about it. Is you can still go and get that same environment, but not have the alcohol. There's no drama. There's no drunk people. Everybody's so cool. Just chill. And I'm a huge reggae fan, so my boyfriend got me into reggae majorly when I moved to Florida.
Yeah.
And so just good vibes, you know.
Awesome.
That's why it's my favorite genre of music. It's feel good vibes, and that's kind of how kava bars are, you know. It's just there's no drama. Sometimes maybe, I don't know, but you know, like it's just a nice vibe without the alcohol, and it's a fun way to get to still enjoy something similar where you're going out and sitting in that same setting as a bar, and you can still indulge in something that gives you an effect, but it's not alcohol.
Right.
So it doesn't impair you. No hangover. It doesn't impair you. You can still drive.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's, you know, I like to compare it to kind of like herbal teas. It's very similar. It's just the root of the plant. Yeah. So it's just, it's a natural remedy.
Here's the one thing, and we talked about this. For me personally, because people know that I have fatty liver we're still trying to figure that part of it out. Still trying to figure out whether it was over the years of drinking and partying or if it's caused by something else right now. But the fatty liver that I have, I can't really drink kava because it's tough on the liver, correct?
I've heard that. I mean, I have heard that, and obviously I'm no expert or doctor or anything, but I would consult with your doctor because I've had questions about it because I have psoriasis. And I have my whole life, and I was having dry skin at one point, and I thought maybe it was from the kava because it can dry you out. I think it's very similar to like a coffee plant. Okay. So it can like dehydrate you. So you do have to drink a lot of water while you're drinking it. I think if you're overdoing it, but I don't know if there's enough research yet, honestly, on it. But obviously, if you are having that kind of problem with your liver, I would be.
But I will be, because we did speak about this, because you were like, I would love to bring you to one of these places. So I'm still willing to come, even not drink the kava, meet these people, because
different options. They do. They have herbal teas. So a few of them that I really love have loose leaf teas. So actually one of the local ones, Kava Social Club, and then there's one in St. Pete that we absolutely love. It's called Mad Hatters.
Oh, okay.
And
I've heard of that.
It's amazing. It's really fun.
That's what that is. I didn't know what that.
Mad Hatters, and they have like a whole selection of different loose leaf teas that have different effects, relaxation, all kinds of stuff. So it's all loose leaf teas that you can mix up and have a tea. So they have different options other than just kava and kratom. Yeah. Especially if you're into tea.
And what's the difference between kava and kratom? Or are they the same thing?
They're very different. Okay. They are very different. Kava is definitely non-habit forming. I've heard that kratom can be. But I do have a few friends who've used it to actually get off of opiates. Oh. I personally can't indulge in anything kratom related because I get sick. Right. It must be some kind of allergy or something because my body just rejects it. But it works
My
for a
mom,
lot of people.
she's allergic to alcohol, which is crazy. She's never had a drink in her life.
Sing in disguise.
Yeah, bless her.
And I've heard that's a thing.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Does she break out with hives or?
Yeah, not so much, a little bit, but also like her tongue gets like funny and her lips. Yeah, like it's weird.
Wow, like
Yeah.
anaphylactic?
Yeah. No, not almost like that, but it's almost like it gets numb and it's like tingly, and then she knows that like she almost feels like hives coming on. Like,
That's scary.
yeah, so the few times that she did try to drink, she was like, "Yeah, this isn't for me." So she, she's the most amazing woman outside of my wife, but she's 80 years old. She looks like she's 60 and still traveling all over the place and doing.
That's so great.
And I always say it's because she eats great. She's a great cook because she's old school Italian, and she's never drank. She never put any bad substances in her body, and she just had knee replacement, and she bounced back better than most people would have at 60 something.
Yeah, that's amazing. It just
Zero inflammation too. Think about what alcohol does to you. You get inflamed, and
it's crazy, and it takes years to recover from that. And it just goes to show that the more you take care of your body, the healthier you'll be, the better you'll feel.
the longer we'll live.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Because we have so much more to do here on this earth.
true, it's
Even though if we think about it, it's a really, really short period of time we're here. Because I say this to a lot of young people, and I always give them like, what's the most important thing in life outside of family? And they'll be like, some will say, I would have said money, like without a doubt. And some will say family. The most important thing is time.
It's true.
Because
it
gets shorter and shorter as we get older. Like I blinked and I'm 52, and my kids are in their 20s and teens, and now raising an 11-year-old. But like, I can't believe it's 52. Like,
It's so true.
I plan on living another 50 years, so that means I only got 50 more to go. Like, and it's like, and I blink and I'm like, wait, this year's over.
Yeah, I know. It goes so fast, and it's
And especially when you don't drink. Like, it's amazing. Like, I used to think like my days used to drag on, and I used to drink more and more, and now I turn around and I'm like, holy cow, it's Friday again.
I know. It's insane. Time really is our most valuable thing. It really is. It is. And we're really only here for so long. So,
And that's why we do really need to be thankful every day we wake up, because something could happen to us crazy.
it's true. And it's,
And I think we forget about that.
we do. And, mental health disorders like anxiety and depression, it kind of puts a toll on that. But it sounds kind of like almost sick to think like, well, we're only here for so long. So like, but it does kind of help you get back to reality and realize like you should be enjoying your life and not to let that. I just recently saw one of those videos on social media where it's like, aren't you worried what people will think about you? And then it shows that video where it zooms out into space, way out, and it shows you're here on this rock, floating in space, worrying about bills, living in fear. And I should watch that every single morning.
Every morning. You should, honestly, because I say this all the time on my podcast. And I didn't do this until recently, and I think this is one of the reasons why my anxiety has gone, and maybe this will help you. When you live in the past, you live in anger. When you live in the future, we live in fear, and we have a tough time living in the moment.
Yes.
So when we live in the moment, I live in for today. Today's Friday. I live for today, right now, between us two. I have no anxiety. I live the next thing. I'm going to see my son. We're going to have dinner. I have no anxiety. It's when I start thinking about the shit I have to do a month from now, 3 weeks from now, or I got bills. Guess what? 85% of the stuff we worry about doesn't come true.
So true. And I swear the more I worry about something like finances, or like I haven't had a gig in a while, or I haven't had a new client, or whatever it is, and I'm waiting for that, and I stress and stress and stress up until the very point where it's like that day someone will reach out and they need work, and I'm like, every time it's like, why did I stress myself out like this? It always works out. It does.
And my dad, I wear this bracelet. My dad used to say, and my sons, my daughters, they have it tattooed on their body. This too shall pass.
Yes, I love that.
We go through times in life where things are horrible, but we're gonna have good times. But this too shall pass. Like it's part of life. It really is.
It is part of life, yeah. But as long as you're taking care of yourself and doing the best you can, you know, it's not easy to get out of those situations.
No, you're an amazing young lady, and I'm truly blessed that you came on the show because you have so much to offer, and to share your merch and to give a shout out to these kava bars, which I'm gonna go with you. But I really do. Yeah, of course, absolutely. I'm up for new things. Yeah, and meet new people. That's what it's about. Learning.
You meet so many,
Especially when you're sober.
it's so true. It's so true. You make better connections, true connections, and
Because they're not lying.
they're not lying. And you know, honestly, anytime I've been, you know, at any of the restaurants I've worked in the past where someone said, "Can I have your business card?" I never expect them to reach back out. Because it's just sometimes people don't remember, you know?
I know.
And it's like, so I always just, you know, I'm always an advocate for my business. I'm always telling people about it.
Absolutely,
Just like
you
you and
have
your
to.
wife saw, you
Yes,
know, I was like, hi,
absolutely.
I have a small business. I do
Yeah.
social media marketing.
And I need that. So that I'm sure going to be working together.
I would
So
love that so
yeah,
much.
yeah, and I appreciate you coming onto the show today. And we're truly blessed to have you on. It's been a wonderful afternoon.
Yes.
It's been peaceful.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have Emily on. Please continue to follow us on our social media pages. They're going to get better. We keep getting better at this process. It's a long journey. It really is. So hang in there. We really are blessed to have Emily on, and it was a wonderful afternoon. Continue to follow us, like I said, on our social media pages, and have a great afternoon. And God bless. Thank you.